Good morning, Boquete. Good morning, Cherokee. Good morning, everyone who is within earshot of my voice. My name is Al Stefanelli, heretofore known as he of the fogged up glasses. You are listening, I'm going to take these off. BoqueteNOW Talk Radio on Radio Cherokee 103.3 on the FM dial. Sponsored by Big Daddy's Grill and ACCB, who has the show every last Friday of every month is ACCB show. I haven't even had a booster shot, and I'm talking like I'm drunk. Welcome to the show. This is the first.
That would not be a booster shot.
That would not be a booster. It would be a booster of sorts.
Yes.
But not a booster shot.
Right.
Unless you're doing shots.
Unless you're doing shots.
Shots, yes.
Booster shots.
Speaking of booster shots, we have with us in the studio today, in addition to the always amazing Bolivar engineer, oh, by the way, hello, Veronica, down in DeVite. We have Dra Shannon Tuer.
Good morning.
And we are going to be talking about, so many things today.
That's what you say when you have no idea what we're going to be talking about.
That's what we call stretching, right? That's what we call stretching. So
I do that all the time.
Yes,
I had no idea how to turn.
And it counts as exercise, I hear. Yeah. So,
well, that's healthy.
It is very healthy. This is a health-minded show when the doctor is on.
Yeah, I was going to say, And over there is Bolivar having a fritura.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, man. Always got it. You know, I tell you what. You ought to pop down one day when Mona Portelens is on the show from ACCB, because she always brings, and you know, she doesn't just bring.
She's my neighbor.
Pies, man. She brings pies and chutney and all kinds of really good stuff.
And little butter miniature pies.
Yeah. So we're gonna see if maybe during ACCB week we can convince her to come down with some food and coffee.
Oh.
Hey. So
I'm there. Just let me know.
Yes. This is a two-part show. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock on this very same radio station is Talking with Your Doctor.
That's right. And I'm going to have Stefanelli on.
And imagine that.
And we'll be talking about lots of important stuff.
Lots of important stuff. We might actually even bring... No, being prepared is no fun. Why would we do that?
Why would we?
But there, as everyone knows, the CDC and the powers that be and the other health organizations have ascertained that a booster shot would be beneficial,
right?
After the COVID shots. And in case you're wondering, that includes Johnson & Johnson. And Johnson & Johnson has actually come out and said that their vaccine originally was going to be the 2 doses, but they got it down to the 1. So a second Johnson & Johnson shot would be...
So is that considered a booster or not a booster?
It's a good question. Maybe it's a boostet. I don't know, but they don't have it here anyway.
Right.
So for those of you who are in the States and, who went to the States and got their Johnson & Johnson, you don't necessarily have to go back to the States to get the second Johnson & Johnson, because I found out from a very wise physician that I know who just happens to be on my show today.
Really? Who's that? Where
Bolivar.
are they? Oh, Bolivar.
Dr. Bolivar. That you can mix and match.
Yeah, you can.
You can mix and match.
So. It's been approved to mix and match, at least in the United States, and where sometimes it's hard to find certain vaccines. Right. So if you'd originally gotten Moderna or something like that, you can get the Pfizer. If you originally got Johnson & Johnson, you can get another Johnson & Johnson if it's available, or you can get one of the mRNA ones.
Yeah. And they're suggesting, 6 months you were telling me, right?
6 months? I think in the States they're saying 8 months, but that might be the supply factor. I don't know.
I know that when I got my AstraZeneca shot, I got it in June of this year. And I was scheduled with everybody else to wait 4 weeks.
Right.
And then, I don't know, about 2 weeks later, week and a half, 2 weeks later, they came out, they being they.
And said, not so fast.
They said, not so fast, because, and initially, when I got the AstraZeneca shot, it was because I'm under 60, and that was the only one
that was available
to me. And we were scheduled, my wife was actually scheduled to go to the States in August. So our plan was to have both of our shots, and then within the 14 days, be able to travel freely. Right. But a week and a half later, they had said, well, we're going to wait because 4 weeks apart, at least for the AstraZeneca, the rate of, what do you call it, the
effectiveness, yeah.
was about 40% or so. But
Yeah.
they said if you waited 10 to 12 weeks,
Right.
it was up in the 90s with the rest of them.
80s.
Something like
80s,
that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, which worked out great for me.
Right.
But that 10 weeks was right smack in the middle of when my wife was going to be in the States.
You got yours a little bit early.
I got mine at, well, not to reference a movie, but it was 9.5 weeks when I got my second shot. And of course, Day being in the States, went to the local CVS and got her Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
So the question was, would she have to go back to the States? Which is why I wanted to bring that whole thing up, because
Right.
there's a lot of people I remember from reading Facebook and whatnot that had left, some specifically, some just by coincidence,
Right.
for the States and got, either a Moderna or Johnson & Johnson or one of them
Which
that's
we
not
don't have
available,
here.
which we don't have here. So I wanted to make sure that we got that out there, that if you did get your second shot 6 months ago,
You can go get a different.
you can go get a different shot now. And I think
According
Pfizer-
to the U.S. I mean, Panama hasn't said one way or the other
Yeah.
at this point, but they usually tend
Follow
to follow what
along.
the U.S. does. So I would assume that even if you had a different brand of, or a different brand
brand, I guess so. Right?
Brand.
It's a brand, yeah.
brand of
Manufacturers, whatever. Yeah.
right vaccine, then you can mix and match.
Yeah.
They say the best is when you have one of the DNA combined with an mRNA. You're more protected that way. But they said even if it's just getting 3 doses of Pfizer, you're much better off than just having
The two.
two, because
Yeah.
the effectiveness does tend to wane, and we are having a problem with the variants.
Well, now this is what I wanted to ask you about. The advent of this knowledge where you benefit from a booster shot, which is basically a third dose. That came about because of the effectiveness waning. Because I know there's some vaccines, like you get a polio vaccine, you get an MMR vaccine. It's usually good for life, except when you're in the military and
They give it to you whenever they feel like it.
yeah, well, you're basically a pincushion in a uniform. That's how that goes. But what was the science, or what was the general thinking behind them even exploring why you would need a booster shot?
Especially for the elderly or above 65 with health concerns. They were seeing a lot of breakthrough cases. Maybe the first 2 were already wearing off. Maybe they weren't as well protected. Their immune systems didn't react like they should. So originally it was more for that. Usually, like, for example, with the flu vaccine, you're going to wait a year between doses.
Right. Yeah.
But then again, you only have the one season where you're really worried about the flu, which is during the winter months in the States. So you just get it around just before the winter months, and you're supposedly protected at least a little bit from the flu virus. Here, we're seeing that this virus is active all year round.
Right.
We're seeing more and more breakthrough cases, so they decided to start doubling up on the vaccine. It's not unheard of. We have vaccines that are a series of 4 shots.
Right. And I remember getting boosters, excuse me, for various things over my life. So
Right.
it's not anything that's unusual.
I mean, there is one vaccine, and I can't remember which one it is, where you get 3 doses, like 1 dose every couple of weeks, and then another dose a few months down the road. So it's not unheard of that you might have to give boosters along the way.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're compromised in one way, if you have a compromised immune system or an autoimmune disease, or you just have
Your body just doesn't react well enough to the first 2 doses, and you definitely need another one. How can you tell? You can't really tell with an antibody test how well you're protected against the virus. It doesn't measure that.
right.
It measures whether you've been sick or not. So if you get an antibody test and you realize, oh, I've had COVID, I'm protected because I've got antibodies. No, that's not necessarily true.
Well, yeah, and then another popular, I wouldn't say popular, but another misconception is exactly what constitutes a vaccine. There's several people who are under the impression that Well, if it doesn't cure it, it's not a vaccine, and we know that that is not that is not exactly accurate.
Right, right. It vaccines don't protect 100%. Almost none of them do. Almost none of them are going to protect you 100%, meaning that you're not going to get sick. You might get sick, but you're probably not going to end up with severe disease or in the hospital. And that's the thing we're trying to do with these vaccines, is prevent people from ending up in the hospital.
Right. So basically, and as we've discussed, over the past several months, you and I on the show, is the viral load, the propensity for you to pass it on, to others, or to obviously how it's going to affect you personally. You
Theoretically, it should be a lot lower since you've had the vaccine.
Right. And the thing is that a lot of, all right, first, the resistance to the vaccine was that it was still in emergency status. It hadn't been approved by the FDA, and a lot of people were just waiting for that. I'm going to wait till it's approved. They, consider it experimental. We can get into that later, but now that it's been approved, there's still that resistance, and there's still the resistance amongst groups that, I don't want to say defy logic, but defy logic. If you're in the healthcare field, particularly if you work in hospitals or if you work in the ER, or if you're dealing with patients who have had COVID or have died from COVID. Trying to wrap my head around why, if you are in that line of work, or if you are in an emergency services line of work, first responders, why you wouldn't, take advantage of this and protect yourself.
And look at it the other way around. If I were a patient, I wouldn't want somebody treating me if I was in a delicate position that isn't vaccinated, that could pass something on to me if I don't have my defenses up to 100%. I'm already in the hospital and I'm getting treated by someone that hasn't been vaccinated, could potentially pass it on to me.
Right, yeah.
Whether they're symptomatic or asymptomatic, doesn't matter. You can still pass it on. Yeah. So you're putting my life at risk.
Yeah, I think, on the one hand, obviously, you want to respect someone's right to make their choices.
Sure.
There's been a lot of pushback on private corporations and government offices that have mandated this vaccine. There have been people who have chosen to abandon their careers over this. There are people who have chosen to go through a suspension process to where they still technically have a job, but they're not getting paid. They're not getting paid for it.
And they're at risk of losing their jobs because
and at risk of losing their jobs. I was watching a news program last night where the states up north in the United States, I don't have data on Canada or Europe, but in the United States, there have been several states that have mandated that everyone who works for that state, in whatever capacity, are mandated to get their vaccines. And some of the states, New York for one, which kind of surprises me, there's almost 4 out of 10, about 40% of people who work in emergency services, the police department, the fire department, have chosen to either walk off their job or not comply, run the risk of losing their jobs. And when you look at that number, and especially in a state that has a city the size of New York City, losing 40% of your emergency services doesn't just impact the person who is losing their job or is striking, in effect. It also affects the health and well-being of the rest of the population.
Right.
It kind of exacerbates.
And their coworkers, because they don't have, they have to work more shifts. They don't have that backup that they had before.
Yeah.
But you've been in the military. You've heard the term troop readiness.
Yeah.
I mean, troop readiness means that you're protected to the highest extent, so that you're always ready to do what you have to do as a soldier, as a Marine, as an Air Force.
Anything in there, yeah.
That means having your vaccines up to date. That means being the healthiest you can. I mean, PT, you get tested in some parts of the military monthly, weekly, depending
on what your
specialty
MOS is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that really, when you look at civilian emergency services such as police, SWAT, fire department, EMTs, they kind of have to be
ready
as well, because you never know what you're going to be walking into. You never know what the situation's going to be.
They can't be sick.
Right. You can be a police officer responding to a domestic violence call and end up in a home where nobody's vaccinated, everyone's sick, and now you're exposing yourself, and you still do run the risk, but it's a lower risk.
Mm-hmm. A firefighter that has to go into a fire, if your lungs are screwed up because you've gotten COVID or you have COVID, it's not going to help you fight that fire.
No, it's not going to help. And having served on a fire department a lifetime ago, it's hard enough breathing, even through a Scott pack, with 70 pounds of gear on your back.
Running through a building that's on fire.
A building that's on fire, know, and I'd have to say that the best physical shape that I had been in my entire life was from when I was in the Marine Corps through my service with the fire department up in New York. And that was because of that readiness. Mm-hmm. There was always physical not therapy, training. There was always, you always had to remain on top of your game.
Yeah, and you got tested.
Yeah.
And if you didn't make the cut, then you were sent to remedial.
Or you were sent, like as they say in sports, back to the farm team.
Yeah.
I remember specifically on the fire department, there was a physical test where you had to lift a certain amount of weight with one arm. Mm-hmm. Stress tests on a treadmill, mm-hmm. and endurance tests, and carrying a fire hose up 8 flights of stairs and training. I mean, there was a lot. It was very physically demanding.
And you can't scream discrimination.
No, you can't. I mean, you could, but it would be.
They would laugh at you.
They would laugh at you, yeah, because it is literally an equal opportunity job.
If you can't carry the tanks, if you can't carry the hose, if you can't do it while you're running up, how many flights of stairs, then you're not going to be a help to your team.
Right.
So the same thing, if we have all of our doctors and nurses ending up on sick leave because they get sick and they cannot be around patients, treat patients, then you're leaving that hospital or that clinic in a lurch.
Yeah, and just the fact that these decisions that are being made not to be vaccinated. Now, if you're a private citizen, you're not engaged with the public. If you're retired, or whatever, or if you're self-employed to where you're working behind a computer all day, you're not interacting with people. Those aren't the individuals that are refusing the vaccine that are actually causing an issue overall. To a point, I guess they are, but it's the people who work in the grocery stores, that work, first responders, that are interacting with the general public. Mm-hmm. You just don't know the person that you're coming in contact with, how their physical health is.
Right.
And it just seems to me to be a disservice whether or not you are going to be infected yourself is only half of the.
If you're working in a cancer ward, if you're working with young children, if you're working in maternity, those are situations where you don't want to expose those particular patients to anything high risk.
Right.
And it is high risk for them, whether they've been vaccinated or not. And many of them can't get vaccinated. And even if they do, it won't be that effective because their immune systems
is already compromised. So you want to take into account the less fortunate, excuse me, here who already have problems. Mm-hmm. I have COPD. I know I have no business smoking, but be that as it may, Doc, me catching COVID would be more detrimental mm-hmm. to my health. Someone who's got an autoimmune disease, people who have multiple sclerosis or lupus, any of the diseases that compromise your immune system. It's not like a broken leg. You can't tell.
Right. No, you can't tell by looking at somebody that their immune system is compromised. You really can't.
And a lot of times they don't know either. They might not be aware.
They might not be aware of it.
I know it's really easy to get caught up in social media and in the conspiracies that are out there, and it's not necessarily conspiracy theories. There are some conspiracies, that have been brought to light. There are, organizations, pharmaceutical companies that have been investigated and found to have been cheating, or have quintupled the price of their medication when demand is up. And okay, you want to be aware of those. You want to be able to find out, hey, what did this company do? Can I vote with my dollars? If a medication I think is out more than a year or two, then other companies are allowed to make generics. So
it's all in the contracts.
Yeah, it's all in the contracts. So sometimes you do have those choices, but there are some really out there conspiracy theories that are keeping people from getting this vaccine, and they are very easily either debunked or there is enough valid information out there to where these concerns can be alleviated.
Right.
We'll get into those. I do want to mention one thing. In about 8 minutes, it'll be half past the hour. Halftime, and our halftime show today is going to be Judy Tovar. She's waiting out in the wings there, and she's going to come in for a few minutes and talk to us about. For those of us who are,
she was my former neighbor in Panama.
Was she?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So for those of us who are daily, just utterly destroying the Spanish language with our attempts to speak Spanish. Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
She's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the stuff that she provides. So she's out there in literally the green room. Because the grass is green, and the canopy is green, and our mask is green. And so we're going to be talking to her, about that. And she was on the show a few months ago with, was it the Nutra
Hogar?
Yeah. So she's not a newcomer to this program.
By the way, Mom says hi.
Hi, Mom.
She says congratulations to your son.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my son got married this past Sunday in Cancun. And for the first time in, I want to say 35 years, maybe 35, 37 years, there's another Mrs. Stefanelli out in the world. So, yeah.
So Dave's no longer alone.
She's no longer alone. So, It's interesting when you pass on a family name. I have daughters. They're married or they've been married, and my son is the one, I guess, who carries on that tradition. However archaic it might sound to some people, but so they're the next. They get the mantle.
So right? You need him to carry on the family name.
You carry on, and then I guess I'll retire.
Because there can't be enough Stefanellis.
No, ever. But yeah, it was beautiful. Mexico is a beautiful country. Cancun is absolutely stunning.
I saw the pictures of that hotel, the resort.
Yeah,
wow.
It was the Iberostar Selection in Cancun. It was a very, very, very nice place. The ceremony went off with a hitch. Oh, that's such an old grown joke. You can keep the dad joke out of the whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very nice, and it was interesting travel trip back and travel there. Day and I love being in new places and seeing new places. It's just the getting there and getting back.
Yeah, you didn't.
That kind of bites.
Yeah. I guess going was okay, and then coming back was a little bit rough.
Going was long because it was all one day. We got up early on Saturday morning about 4 a.m. and over to David to Tocumen, and then to Tocumen to Cancun, and then there's the ride and all that. We got in at about 5 o'clock, and there was a rehearsal dinner at 6. That was semi-formal, so it's like get in, unpack, iron, blah blah blah. Coming back, obviously, because Copa has decided, I guess their afternoon flights are not going to be happening for a while.
Yeah, very strange.
Was the usual what a lot of us from North America have to do is you get into Panama City in the afternoon, spend the night, and then
Leave at dark
and
30.
then leave at dark.
I mean, it's
30.
early. That flight is
Well,
early.
yeah. Well, you got we stay usually at the Rion, which a lot of people do, and you got to get their 5:30 shuttle, which means getting up at 4.
Right.
4:30. So, but yeah, though I got props to Copa though. Almost all the flights that we took were good. There was that one, I have to say, landing in Cancun, kind of sideways, coming in hot. A lot of bouncing, a lot of skidding, a lot of fishtailing.
So how many times did your heart actually stop?
And I think 8. I think 8. That was I'm not a pilot I've flown planes, small ones. I have no idea how
So you were white knuckling it in.
So I was looking out the window and I'm like, we're about to hit the ground and we're not really straight. We're on an angle. I mean, I could see the runway.
I think they do that. I think they do that with the wind.
Well, they might, but he came down sideways.
They kind of.
So he came down sideways to the nose of the plane pointing to the left, bounced up. The nose of the plane went to the right, bounced down, bounced up again, came down straight, but then went into a skid and started skidding sideways. And I'm looking, I'm like, I can see the end of the runway. And according to that little screen, we're still doing like 200 kilometers an hour. And I'm trying to do math in my head, which really wasn't a good idea because all I pictured was a fiery ball of twisted metal. But he pulled it together. And
Xanax next time, Xanax.
Yes, I know. So,
the pilots usually know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do. They do. I've got millions of miles in the air in my lifetime, and I've never been in a plane crash. Obviously, if I was, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
That plane crash that crashed in Texas in all 21, was that in the air or was that just skidded off the runway?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, you didn't hear about it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I do know that there was one flight in Hawaii where wind shear ripped the entire top of the plane off.
Wow.
You can see people sitting there, and the
No,
pilot landed it. No casualties. The pilot landed. Although anything in the overhead compartment obviously was gone.
Apparently, when they turned the nose because of the wind, like you guys were turned, according to this pilot, also called Mom, it's called crabbing.
Yeah, I see that in cars sometimes with bent frames.
Yeah.
You've seen that, right?
I've seen
You're going
that,
down the road
especially
sideways, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're right behind them, and they're going down the road correctly, but the whole car is twisted.
Shifted, yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, thanks, Mom. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
I feel a little better now knowing that we were.
It was a non-purpose.
It was an on-purpose thing,
Yeah.
and we were not.
Hopefully,
in
we don't know
danger
that
of,
was
no,
your
we don't.
situation.
It's okay.
Either that or your pilot was really drunk, getting ready to go to the resort.
We don't want to know that, though. Or do we?
You
I don't know. Maybe
would want
he
to
had
know
COVID.
it before you got on the plane.
It would be very good. People say, whenever you're about to go on a journey, that involves air travel, they're like, have a safe flight. I'm like, no, I don't want to have a safe flight. I want the pilot to have a safe flight. This is really what I want out of this trip.
And you just hope your pilot doesn't have a death wish.
That's true. Yeah. That's a whole other show.
Yep.
But anyway,
Is it halftime?
it's just about So let's bring Judy in. I see we have a camera up over there, so I think we can get her on.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, so come on in, Judy. Have a
Judy.
seat.
Right here?
Yeah, that'll work. Sure. Yeah.
Hola.
So we're welcoming to the show, Judy. Is it Tovar or Tovar?
Tovar in Spanish, Tovar in English.
Okay, so Tovar, because when in Panama, right? Be like.
You were going to say Rome, weren't you?
I was going to say Rome,
Yeah.
and we're a little far away from Rome. So welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I've been here before.
Yes, you have.
Talking about Nutrogar.
Yes.
And some of you know me because we do some, Linda Hart and I do some used to do some amazing trips on the party bus, which we're going to start doing hopefully very soon again.
Yeah. I think the last time you were on the show, I got texted some pictures from they were on the bus, and Linda, I think, was on the bus, and they were all like waving and everything. So we're going to have Nutrogar hopefully back on the show in a couple of weeks, maybe. I'll talk to you.
We haven't been
later.
able to open the doors in Nutrogar for people to come and visit the children yet, because MINSA doesn't give us permission, which I can understand.
Yeah.
It's for the children's security.
Sure, sure.
But hopefully soon we'll be able to take people back to see the children.
And that would be absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
Vaccinate people. Vaccinate.
Vaccinate.
Yes.
Yes. Please,
Yes.
please vaccinate.
Yes.
Sorry about
So
that. That was a me.
now let's just say, for example, there's someone in this room who struggles with speaking Spanish and would really like some help along the lines of not to be completely fluent and to be able to give speeches in front of the Panamanian government, but ordering food would be nice, asking for directions, general conversation. I wonder if there's anyone here who could help with that.
I can.
So, what is it? And you do it a little bit differently from the text that you had
Yes.
you had given me.
What
So
I want
tell
to
us what you
do
did.
is, I'm a native Panamanian,
Mhm.
and I was very blessed to grow up with 2 languages
Oh,
because I learned English since I was 5 years old.
oh wow.
So, but I see the struggles that a lot of people have in Boquete, especially Boquete because this is where I live now. And the conversational Spanish that I'm trying to offer is not sitting down and just learning grammar.
Uh-huh.
It's sitting down and learning to be comfortable with an everyday conversation.
Right.
Okay, so let's say that you need to go and do errands,
Right.
or you need to go to the municipio, or you need to go do whatever. If you need a translator, I can help with as translator. But if you just want to sit and talk just in Espanol, just in Spanish,
Yeah.
so you could get your tongue.
Right. Just a general and I
General
find that
conversation.
when I take a taxi, and this is a perfect example. Okay, I don't really take taxis too much anymore, but I was waiting for a cab. A taxi, and I was with a good friend of mine, who now doesn't live here anymore. Her name is Rusty Castillo. I had no idea that she was fluent in Spanish. So anyway, it's me and my wife and Rusty. We get into the cab, and my wife and I are in the back seat, and Rusty's in the front, and she just starts having this conversation with the taxi driver. And I thought to myself, I got about 30 words in my vocabulary, and I struggle with, as a lot of us do, with the masculine and feminine, struggle with the parts of speech that, like I just literally learned that hasta is, from and to. I didn't know that. And when I'm watching her have this conversation, I got kind of envious. I used to speak Italian when I was very, very young. That stopped when I was about 5 or 6 because my parents were like, well, we're in America now, and you're going to school, so we're going to just switch to English, which I think was a disservice because you got to grow up with 2 languages. So how would it work? How would it work with you? Do you do individual? Do you do groups? Do you do couples? I mean, how does that all work?
I can do groups, I can do individuals. I was thinking from 1 to 3 persons, just because each person has their own individual know-how of how much Spanish they know, and it's difficult to have a group because each one has different levels.
Right. Well,
So
yeah.
I was thinking of more doing it on a personal basis,
Uh-huh.
a couple, or up to 3 people, like 3 friends.
Right, because they're probably pretty close on their,
Yes.
especially couples.
The way that I look at it is this way. You live in my country. My country is Panama. Our language is Spanish.
Right.
Okay? So if you come to my country, you should learn our language.
Yeah.
Just like when I went to the United States,
Right.
I had to learn English because that's the language
Right,
of the
and
United
I
States.
totally agree with that.
And so I want to help people to learn Spanish, but in a fun way.
Right.
It could be sitting down and having a drink.
Sure.
It could be sitting down and having a lunch. It could be going to the grocery store. It could be going to Novi's in David.
Right.
It could be anything, anywhere that you want to practice Spanish with me, I'm willing to go with you.
Yeah, that's helpful. And specifically, just in general day to day. Sometimes, my problem is that because for the first several years, not many, of my life, I spoke Italian, and I forgot most of it. But I remember, obviously, things stick with you. Pronunciation. So my issue is when I come out with a Spanish word or a phrase in Spanish, it sounds really deceptively like I'm fluent in Spanish because by and large my pronunciation is perfect. You know, my cadence is good, my speed is good, and then I get a flood of Spanish back that is so fast that I can't process it, and then it kind of makes me a little self-conscious about trying it again. You know, so to have somebody like a one-on-one or even a two-on-one,
And that's the idea. The idea is that I
Comfort.
know that we speak very fast
yeah,
because we do.
And drop parts of words.
And drag out and eliminate parts of words.
Yes. Yes.
So the idea is for you to talk to a native Panamanian, which is me, and understand our way of talking
right.
and be able to converse. I think it's so beautiful for foreigners to be able to go down the street and to be able to talk to native
Yeah.
people, you know, even the Indians.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's as a foreigner, it's a good feeling. You know, when I'm out and about, and I get it right, even if it's a short little conversation, and I know that I've gotten it right or I've gotten it close enough, and there's a short little conversation, it makes me feel good about myself because you know I didn't try to put out that belief that well, even though I'm in Panama, you should know English as a Panamanian. I think that's kind of arrogant, right?
Yes.
So it makes me feel good, you know, when I get to converse with somebody, and I really wish that I was able to do that more. That I had a better command of the language.
And you see it all the time. People saying, you know, I need a handyman, but must speak English.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the kind of situation you'd be great for
Yes.
because you could come in and you say, this is how you say what you want to get done. This is how you converse with whomever so that you have that experience. So it doesn't matter if the handyman speaks English or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm available whenever, and it doesn't have to be like once a week. It could be whenever you want.
Yeah.
You just let me know so that I can organize my time.
Well,
And I can go to Boquete and meet you wherever you want. Or if you want to go to David, we can go to David. Like I said, I will adjust. I will personalize.
personalized.
Yeah.
That's the
All right,
word.
so two very
Personalized.
very important questions. How do we get in contact with you? And I know you're going to give your phone number, and I'll
Yes.
put that in my post-production video.
Yes.
And what do you charge? How much are you? What are your rates?
Okay, my rate right now from 1 to 3 persons is $20 an hour, minimum 2 hours.
Okay, is that each?
No, that's
okay.
total.
Oh wow.
So like if it's 3
nice.
persons, you're talking of $40 divided by 3. If it's 2 persons, it would be $20 a piece because it's
2 hour.
Right,
2
2
hours.
2 hour minimum.
If it's 1 person, I could adjust that a little bit to
Yeah.
go down to like maybe $15 an hour.
Yeah.
But
So for 2 people, it's basically $40.
$40 total.
$40.
You're
Yes.
not paying. You're not paying for the complexity. You're paying for the time, the hour.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And
That's
I put it up
Yeah.
to 3 people because sometimes there's 3 friends
Right.
that
Sure,
like to
yeah.
talk between themselves, and they can talk in front of me in Spanish, and I can correct them
Yeah.
and help them with whatever conversation they
Yeah.
want to talk about.
Well, you got to be a very patient person.
Oh, I am.
You know, it's very difficult for those of us who are older to make new pathways, to learn new things.
Yes.
Learning a new language, you know, people have told me, well, you know, if you're over 50, you could forget about it. But I know people personally that have come here 3-4 years ago without knowing any Spanish now that are conversational. So I don't believe that at all. I think you just
Exactly.
really have to want to do it and to have a good patient teacher
Yes.
as well.
I am very patient. I am a customer service trainer, so I love people to be very satisfied with whatever services I provide. And my idea is for people to be able to not necessarily know the grammar,
Yeah.
sit down and learn the grammar, but to learn how to converse.
Yeah, because right now.
But you do need some vocabulary.
Yes.
Well,
to
be
yeah,
able
you
to
do need
vocabulary.
and grammar. You
Yes.
know, right now I speak two languages: English and bad English. So, you know, if I can throw bad Spanish in there, it's better than no Spanish.
Exactly.
You know, and I know that from the other Panameños and Boqueteñas that I've spoken to, just a foreigner making an effort is appreciated. You know, so I may mangle the language, but I'm trying to make an effort to show my respect for my new home country here. It's to learn the language and learn the customs. I didn't come here for it to be the same as where I came from, right?
Exactly.
So, all right. So, how do we get a hold of you?
My phone number, my WhatsApp is 6617-4122. I'll repeat that, 6617-4122. You can also email me, and you can email me at easy travel, like EASYTRAVEL at cwpanama.net.
Okay, and
Okay.
I'm going to put that in, as you all know, out there in Radio Land, usually Sunday or Monday. I post a video on my BoqueteNOW YouTube channel, and in the comments, if you will, already got your phone number.
Yes.
So if you would text me your email, that email
Sure.
address, because
Yes.
I'll forget it in about 8 seconds.
Okay.
I'll put that in there, and you know, I hope that you get your classes get full.
I hope so too. And like I said, whatever day, whatever time is good for you, it's good for me.
All right. Well, thank you very much
Thank
for popping
you.
by,
Thank you very much.
and we'll catch up with you later.
Nice to see you, Judy. Take care.
All
Igual.
right, ciao.
Saludos, Sabo.
Ay, se acaba de ir para Texas.
Ah.
I understood Texas. Oh, really?
Ciao.
Yeah, that's actually a really good, a really good service for those of us who I really am trying to acclimate. I've been here almost 4 years, and I think, just when I think I've learned enough,
Not so fast, Al
I am
Stefanelli.
reminded. Yes, I am reminded. Whoa, not so fast there, Chuck. Yeah, so I would like to mangle Spanish less than I am currently.
A little better, a little less.
Yeah, so anyway, thanks to Judy for stopping by.
Yeah, that should be good. I
Yeah.
mean, she was doing all of her tours, and of course that kind of got messed
yeah.
up with COVID. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're not going to be doing big bus tours
Right.
until things settle down a bit. So, she's offering a good service.
Yeah, I might, I'm going to talk to my significant other. Maybe we'll try that. I don't know.
Yeah, have her go in a taxi with you. Then you can tell people how to get to your house.
I know, I always struggle with that. I know left, I know right, I know straight, but I forget things like, I'm the house next to, or, I know, then I'll remember after I get out of it was Proxima. Oh, man, why didn't I? Then I'm like, what word did I say? Did I insult somebody? So it's really
Well, you
handy.
haven't been
though.
punched in the nose yet. So
Not
that's-
yet, no.
that's
I
good.
think that's a plus.
It is.
It's positive.
It is. Yeah.
But anyway, let's tomorrow on your show. I mean, obviously, it's talking with your doctor. We're gonna probably
Right.
get into
We'll get into the nitty
the
gritty.
nitty gritty, the more medical stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But I will say this though, I have seen, just based on social media here on the usual Boquete Facebook groups,
Right.
that people are slowly, the people who have been resistant, many of them have come around, and I guess have done enough or been exposed to enough of the scientific research out there. And I think a lot of it had to do with the vaccines being several of them.
Not in the beginning.
Being
Not in the
given-
beginning.
no.
But you always are always going to have that resistance. But you still see, I mean, the resistance because they don't want to be told that if you want to open a restaurant to 100% capacity, that everybody that goes there has to have a vaccine,
Right.
has to be fully vaccinated. They don't want to be told what to do.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to have a driver's license to drive a car. I don't want to have, there's things that we have to have, whether it be here in Panama or in Canada or in the States or in Europe. There there are things the government tells you to do that it's an if-then. If you want to drive a car, then you have to have a driver's license. Right?
If you want to go on an airplane, you can't have a bottle of liquid above 6 ounces.
3.4.
3.4.
3.4. Yes, I can say with great certainty.
You can't bring matches on. You can't bring a lighter on. You can't
Right.
bring a knife on board. Everybody's gotten used to that, and
Yes.
you know, it's not. Am I right?
Yes. And going through security in Panama and Mexico, I lost another knife because I own so many little pocket knives. You know, they're
That
utilities.
you forget where they are.
Yeah, they got little scissors, corkscrews,
Yeah,
you know, whatever,
yeah.
pliers or
Yeah.
whatever, Leatherman. So
Yeah,
I got like a
little-
dozen of them, and
Little cheapo ones. Yeah.
I throw them in little pockets, and in my bags and whatever, and I forget that they're there. And we're going through the airport, and the woman who was doing the security, actually in English, said to me, "Not so fast." And I was like, every time I go to the airport, security pulls me over for one thing or another.
Well, you know that's because they have your picture now.
Yeah, I know. So they
Repeat
look.
offender.
They look at. I know, right? An international criminal. So I'm like, now I checked that bag, obviously not thoroughly enough, and
Yeah.
and one of the side pockets, I have a flashlight. I'm like, well, maybe there were the batteries, maybe there was something. So they took my bag, and they came back with it. She came by, stood in front of me, and she looked very proudly, put the bag right there in front of me, and meticulously reached into the pocket, and slowly and theatrically pulled this little Leatherman out. And I was like, "Oh, lo siento para ti." Yeah, you know, you can have
he's
it.
like,
You can
he's
have
like,
it.
gift for you.
Good for you.
I brought it for you.
And then the next stop, they pulled me
But
out of
those
line.
things are tiny. I mean,
They are.
Yeah.
I got pulled out of line and into this little kind of three-walled area where there was a couple of people in front of me, and they were getting their backpacks just
Ripped apart.
ripped
Yeah.
apart. And all I have at this, because we checked everything, all I have is my little purse, my man purse, which is like 9 inches square and maybe 2 inches thick. And I really didn't have anything, and they had a while. I had my passport or whatever. So the first question she asked me is, "Do you have more than $10,000 in cash?" I'm like, "I have a little purse."
You're like, I have never even seen $10,000
yeah,
cash in my life.
what is, you know, so they opened it up, they went through it, and they opened my wallet up, and I had like $200 in there.
So they're
you
taking
know.
out the bills.
They're taking out the bills, and I'm like, well, you know, obviously, if all you see is 20s, there's not 10 grand in there.
They're looking for the hidden hundreds.
The
in there.
hidden, the hidden, because I'm just known for hiding $100 bills, whatever. But anyway, I do appreciate what they do, and if you're
Yeah.
out there in radio land and you're one of the people who has to do that, appreciate it, you know.
Well, David went through security once, and you know those big bear claw things that you use to tear apart meat to make, you know, I don't know.
How do you know about that?
Bear claws?
I don't know if I want to have surgery now. No, seriously, I know what you're talking about.
Well, these are plastic, but they got the, you know, it kind of looks like Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know. So he's got that in his carry-on. He forgot he put it in his carry-on. He didn't really think about it, right? And he also was bringing a power tool carry-on because he was afraid it was going to get taken. Well, the power tool also had some kind of a drill bit or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So they're going through his stuff, and they take out the bear claws, and they kind of throw them to one side, and they go through the other stuff, and they find the drill bit, and they're like,
Aha!
and that's what we lost.
Bear claws and drill bits.
No, bear claws stayed.
They let you keep the bear claws, but
Really,
they took
really
the...
sharp instruments, by the way,
Yeah.
because they shred pork and beef and whatever else you want to shred. I mean, you could shred somebody to death with those things.
Yeah, I'm thinking
but
passengers, crew.
yeah, crew.
Yeah, something
but
like that,
you
yeah.
know, keep your bear claws. We're taking the drill bit because
Yeah.
you know you don't
can-
need electricity and the drill to be able to work to be able to use a drill bit,
Yeah,
right?
you can slowly hand turn the drill through the fuselage bulkhead. Yeah. Oh well.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think, you know, there was one of the passengers that was on our one of our flights. So we're sitting there, you know, and the flight crew, they do their thing, right? You know, the here's the buckle and the flotation device and blah blah blah, and you know. So the very last thing they said was, due to international regulations, you're required to wear your mask, and then they added over your mouth and nose, right? Well, the passenger in front of me had their mask down below their nose. And I really honestly thought that they were going to throw her off the plane. Day was sleeping. And I'm watching this thing unfold.
Was she having a hissy fit?
No, she wasn't having a hissy fit because she'd have woke Day up. But she was resistant. You know, like she had it down and she put it up just, I mean, you couldn't get any more on the tip of your nose. And then as soon as the flight attendant turned around, she just
Back down again.
Back down again. But it was like a game because the flight attendant would say, "Excuse me, you need to cover both your mouth and your nose," and she just put it up a little bit like that. And as soon as the flight attendant turned around, she put it down. But as soon as she put it down, the flight attendant turned around, you know, like da-da, and she'd go like that. And for like 20 seconds, there was just little volley, up, down, turn around, up, down, turn around. It was almost like square dancing. And I was just laughing to myself because, you know, why? You know, why? But
Yeah,
she
just
eventually,
put it over your stupid
she
nose.
eventually put it up all the way and did the thing, you know, that you do with the whole top and the bottom, and left it on throughout the flight. And I don't know if she was just trying to be a wise ass or not, but for a minute there, I thought they're just going to empty this plane out, and we're just going to have to, you know, miss everything. But it worked.
It's the classic, though. I mean, even coming into the clinic, as soon as they walk into the consultation room, the office there, they'll sit down right in front of a big sign that says "Must wear mask," and go, "Can I take this off?" No,
you can't.
you're in a small area,
Yeah.
enclosed. You don't want to.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to
Yeah.
what we were talking about, you know, earlier. Is that, and again, tomorrow we're going to get into, you know, a little more of the science and the medical community's point of view. But, you know, from the point of view of someone who really does try to make sure that I'm following all the protocols and being compliant, when I see someone who is stubbornly not, it kind of makes me feel like, you know, you're ruining it for the rest of us. And I totally understand. You're on one of the back roads and
Yeah.
you're walking. There's nobody around. You're not hurting anybody if you have your mask down
Right.
on your neck. You're out in the sunshine. There's nobody around you. You're walking, you know. But in the grocery store,
In the grocery store, below the nose is not.
yeah. So
No.
you know
Just follow the rules while you're there. It's 10 minutes.
Follow the rules while you're there. You know, nobody likes wearing these.
No.
You know, we already know that. Some of us have a little more difficulty breathing than others. You know, I have COPD.
I'm asthmatic.
Sometimes
I know.
you're asthmatic, but it's a short period of time. I think the worst time that I have had wearing the mask was from about 7 o'clock Saturday morning until 5 o'clock Saturday evening because of all the travel. I had it on all day.
Yep.
But, you know, I'm still here. It was uncomfortable. You know, granted, I moved a little bit slower, but it wasn't causing
No,
that much of
I mean, I was
causing that much of an issue.
working 10-hour shifts with the mask.
With your
Two
mask on.
masks
Two
on.
masks on, yeah.
Because I like to wear two. Not because one doesn't work, but because two is a little bit safer.
Yeah.
Plus the face shield, plus all my gear.
Yeah.
10 hours. It's uncomfortable. It's hot.
Yeah.
You get mask knee.
Yeah.
It's no fun. But you do it.
Well, and you know what? There's going to come a time when these aren't going to be required anymore. There's going to come a time where, you know, Minsk is going to come out with new rules and regulations. Say, okay, well, we've reached herd immunity. We're at 70-something% of fully vaccinated people. We can start relaxing. They might keep it for a while.
In stores.
Yeah, like in Mexico, for example. If you are on the grounds of the hotel, not on the grounds, if you're inside the hotel in one of the restaurants or one of the banquet halls, one of the restaurants, actually, you have to have a mask on. If you're in public transportation,
Right.
you have to have a mask on.
Obviously.
Otherwise, there's no mask mandate if you're outside the hotel
Right.
or if you are in a private banquet room. Like we didn't wear masks at the reception. It's a huge room. Still, there was a lot of closeness of people I've never met before. So that's just the personal. You have to make that choice yourself.
Yeah. Of
But-
course, you're fully vaccinated.
Yes, and I'm fully vaccinated. And I would tell you one thing, that this hotel, the Iberostar, part of their all-inclusive, it was an all-inclusive, obviously, was free COVID tests
Oh, okay, nice.
for the guests who are who are leaving, going back. Now, obviously,
that's good.
we didn't need one because coming into Panama
If you're vaccinated.
it wasn't a problem. We had to fill out a little form and show
Affidavit,
an
yeah.
affidavit, but it didn't delay.
Yeah,
it
no,
didn't
we
delay
don't
at
have
all.
we don't have that anymore. Where vaccinated people have to bring a negative test.
But eventually, Mensa is going to come out with something similar. They'll slowly relax it. Okay, you don't have to have them when you're outside.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe in restaurants. Right now, I know that if I had Chris on the show last week, and he was explaining that if you want to be 100% at 100% capacity, everyone who comes in your restaurant has to be vaccinated.
Right.
Don't get mad at the restaurant owner.
Right.
It's just they didn't. This is not their.
The restaurant wants to be able to serve at full capacity.
Right.
And if they want to serve at full capacity, according to Mensa, all the patrons have to be vaccinated.
vaccinated.
And I'd assume all their staff have to be vaccinated too.
Assuming so, yes.
That would only make sense. So yeah, don't get mad at the waiters. Don't get mad at the staff. This is a decree put out by the Ministry of Health.
Right. And they're going to be, I know there's a lot of rumors out there. I've heard that, starting November, they're going to eliminate all the masks and everything. I promise you, as I have done for the last almost 2 years, when I get verified information, I pass it along.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten anything concrete or verified, but when I do, it more than likely is going to be along the lines of what the rest of the world is doing. Start slow, outdoors. You won't need a mask. If you're in a public park, you probably won't need a mask. You could probably start having, get-togethers, at home. But if I had to guess, and it's an educated guess, that restaurants, probably grocery stores for a while, clinics, are
Probably public offices.
Yeah, probably going to still require,
Transportation,
wearing the
public
mask.
transportation.
Yes. So it's you can get vaccinated, you can get the booster shots, when the time comes, but that doesn't mean that you are completely safe to other people. So you still really need to
Yeah.
I wear the mask when I have to. I understand why we have to wear it. It's not just, I don't wear it just to protect myself. I wear it to protect the people around me because I don't know. I don't want to be the one to pass COVID on to someone who's got a
I don't want to kill
respiratory-
somebody.
Right, yeah.
I don't
most
want to.
people.
I don't want to send them to the hospital. Yeah.
There are those out there who,
No.
Yeah,
we don't want
that's
that.
a
We don't
whole-
want that. We're trying to clear this stuff up. We don't.
Yeah, you don't want that, and I think
We don't want to get thrown back.
the concept of herd immunity it's a valid, scientifically proved concept that when you get to a certain saturation of vaccinated or inoculated, same thing. Maybe we could talk about that tomorrow.
And contrary to popular belief, not everyone is an active anti-vaxxer in Panama. I mean, there's a very, very small group of not wanting to get this particular vaccine.
And
Very
I think
small.
We're in the 60s already. We're 60%.
60s if you include the entire population, from age 0 on up.
Yeah.
And I think like 70s for 12 and up.
Yeah. So
As far
we're
as-
pretty close to, if we are
We're getting
not
there.
already at
We're getting there.
herd immunity, and some say it's 70%, some say it's 80%, but
And we're already getting our booster shots. The doctors,
Yeah.
the above 55s,
Yeah.
are getting their booster shots.
So if you want to get through this quicker, get your vaccination.
If you want to be able to be free to go to any restaurant you want that decides they're going to open up to 100% capacity, then do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been proven time and time again that this vaccine is safe for the majority.
Majority, yeah.
There's some people that have problems with the vaccine.
But there's some people that always have had problems with vaccines. This is nothing new.
This is not new.
This is,
There's some people that just cannot get the vaccine, and I don't know how that's going to work with them.
Yeah.
I don't. But I do know that for the majority, it's a safe vaccine.
And it's a vast majority. It isn't, it's in the upper 90th percentile of people that, this would be...
And only about 1% of deaths right now are among vaccinated people. 1% of all the COVID deaths.
Yeah. So our awesome engineer here said we got 2 minutos.
Or did he say cut?
Or did he say? Oh, cut. Oh, okay. Well, you put 2 fingers up, dude. Oh, okay. All right. Well, no, I don't want to. You don't want to.
Sorry, Veronica.
All right. Well, we'll continue this tomorrow. We're talking with your doctor right here on.
Hasta mañana, Veronica.
At 10 o'clock. You've been listening to BoqueteNOW Talk Radio, Radio Cherokee 103.3 FM, sponsored by Big Daddy's Girl and ACCB.
Good morning, Boquete. Good morning, Chiriquí. You are listening to Talking with Your Doctor. Today is Saturday, 23rd of October, 2021. Yeah, the year is ending already.
I know. It's like it just started like 10, 11 months ago.
That's very true. As you guys can hear, Al Stefanelli is my guest, and any of you that listened yesterday already knew that we were going to have part 2 of our program this morning that we started yesterday morning.
Yes.
Really, it's been going on all day long since yesterday. It's been a 24-hour thing. You guys are just getting the beginning, the end.
Right, it's like a telethon.
Yeah.
A radiothon. Yes.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'm Dr. Shannon Tuer. I'm with Al Stefanelli, host of BoqueteNOW.
BoqueteNOW.
How you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. We're finally, I think, I am anyway, fully recuperated from my trip to Mexico.
Okay, good.
Covering 30-something 100 miles in 48 hours.
Yeah, that was a crazy trip.
3 airports, 8 flights between the 2 of us. Yeah, it was a little...
But did you die?
No. Did not. Felt like it for a little while there, but no.
I'm sure the day you got back, you just wanted to die.
Oh, it was in the house, dropped the suitcases, to the bedroom, collapse. That was pretty much my arrival schedule right there.
Well, that works.
Yeah,
and
it does.
But you're recovered, and
Yes.
it sounds like Day's recovering nicely too.
She is. She's doing much better today. It's funny. When we went to and from, obviously, we started here at Malik in David, and then to Panama City, and then from Panama City straight to Cancun. And then from Cancun back to Panama City, back to David. And, we had gone through everything that we needed to do. We had our QR codes. We had our vaccination cards as backup. We filled out all the health forms.
Right, the affidavits.
The affidavits, and had all the everything that we needed. And by and large, we didn't get checked.
Yeah.
When we got to David, they asked to see the QR code.
Right.
And no, when we got to David, they asked to see the QR code, but it wasn't scanned. They just kind of looked at it.
Yeah, to see, yeah.
Yeah, you have it, and then we got on, and in Panama City, they didn't even bother.
Well, they assume that you're going straight through.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
When I went to the States a couple of months ago, they did check. They checked in David, they checked in Panama.
Yeah.
The States, and then reverse
And
order
Mexico,
as well.
yeah, Mexico dropped all restrictions.
Yeah.
And the only thing we had to fill out was obviously the immigration form,
Right.
which is just a couple lines, name, email, and the health questionnaire, which was basically, have you been around anyone that has had COVID? No.
Probably all of us have, and we don't know it.
So that was it.
It's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, there was the only time that we got scanned, that my thing got scanned, was when we got into Panama City, going through immigration.
Yeah.
They scanned my QR code, and it kept popping up red. Of course. So
Of course.
they
But
point-
luckily you had your vaccination card.
Well, they didn't even ask for that. They
Oh.
pointed me, directed me over to a little booth, maybe about 20 feet away from
like,
the
go get your
immigration.
test.
No, I went over there. I gave them my phone. They looked at it, didn't scan it or anything, and handed me a green card. It's a little green card.
Okay.
And I brought the green card back over to immigration, and they just gave it back to me and stamped my passport.
Okay.
And that was it. And so there was I know a lot of people are concerned about, and I've heard stories of delays for hours and all this, and
We had a
very
long
smooth.
delay when we came through
Yeah, you
to
were telling me
Cumin,
that, yeah.
and we had a long line, and people were trying to cut in line, and they were really looking at our cards, and we didn't have the QR code we did, but they weren't looking at the QR cards. I don't think they had the scanner for it at that time.
no one ever asked for either Days or mine vaccination card, the physical
Right.
card.
They
So,
want the QR.
Yeah, which they just looked at.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
always
for
bring
the
your
most
card as a
part.
backup just in case.
Yeah, and take a picture of it too.
And take a picture. Yeah.
And I know some people, they got that QR code, and they just kind of like put their phone in their pocket. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when you're going through the airport, you're in and out of Wi-Fi and
Yeah.
all that. And then when they open their
Open
phone
it
up,
up.
it was gone.
Yeah.
So take a screenshot.
I've got, yeah. Oh, that's true.
Just take a screenshot because that's going to be in your phone whether you have Wi-Fi or not.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, mine has data usually in the airport, and I've just got it saved on my home screen,
Yeah.
and I can just bring it up like that, and I don't have to sign in each time or anything like
Yeah.
that.
The only time that messes things up is when you're in a country that you don't have
You don't
data.
have data, yeah.
Right. So, and it's funny
Yeah.
because we got to Mexico and I thought I would have data because it said Movie Star.
Uh-huh.
But apparently Tigo bought Movie Star in Panama and that was...
You can't use Movistar there, yeah.
yeah, it's a different... Now it's probably on a different network. So just take a screenshot.
Yeah.
It's just going to be easier.
I mean, I'm impressed here with how quickly they uploaded everything.
Yeah.
The same day I got my booster, which was a couple of days ago, down in Terranat Plaza, they uploaded it immediately.
Yeah.
It appeared. I looked at it, and it appeared right under my name, where I got it,
Yeah.
the code for it, and everything. So
And on the Mensa site, well, it's not the Mensa site, on the Panama Digital site, I got the email with the QR code. Well, obviously, once I got through it, it was available right there. But the email they sent me with the link to it, I got within minutes.
David
And-
did too. I never got an email.
Yeah, I got it within minutes. And, to
jealous.
answer the question that I see on social media, if you are on Chrome, it'll translate it.
Uh-huh.
If you're not on Chrome, you have to look for Estados Unidos. Don't look for United States when you're scrolling
Right,
down the
because
country.
you won't find it.
You won't find it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, though. I never got an email. I feel
They hate you.
left out, yeah.
They just, you're one of those
I mean, David got
redheaded
his-
stepchild,
David got his booster yesterday.
My apologies to all the redheaded stepchildren.
But David got his yesterday, and he got an email immediately.
Yeah. So the system does work. I mean,
It does.
obviously, like any other communication system over the internet, there's going to be glitches here and there. Sometimes email is formatted in a way where the system might not immediately recognize it. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with
Yeah.
these websites. But
Yeah.
overall, from what I've heard, the people that are trying to upload their vaccination cards, if you, like Day got her Johnson & Johnson in the
Right.
States because she was out of the country
Right.
when our appointment came up for the second dose back in August. And on the Panama Digital site, it does give you an option. Did you get your vaccination out of the country? If so, where? And the box that says when did you get your first shot? When did you get your second shot?
Right.
If you got the Johnson & Johnson, which a lot of us did in the States, as soon as you click that choice, it goes down to one box.
Okay.
So obviously that's the one and done, or well, it
Right.
was
Exactly.
anyway.
Exactly.
So if you follow the instructions, chances are pretty good that it's going to work for you, and then you can travel with your QR code, and which you're in Panama. If you got vaccinated outside of the country, now you have
Now you have the option,
now,
yeah.
now you have your record. So you could, because there's going to be, as we talked about yesterday, restaurants that want to operate at 100% capacity. You're going to have to prove that you're vaccinated.
I think just about all the restaurants are going to want to operate 100% capacity. So
I would. I mean, your whole business plan is based not on if your restaurant's half full
Yeah. No.
or a quarter full. So yeah.
So it's going to make life hard for people that haven't gotten their vaccination yet.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a necessary strategy to be able to open up the economy again fully.
Right. Yeah, and that affects everybody, not
Yeah.
just you.
And I don't think it's
It's
really
not all
gonna-
about you, man.
And I really don't think it's going to affect the businesses that much to say I need to see your vaccination, because really the majority of people around here are vaccinated and have their either QR codes or their vaccination cards from the States.
Well, there's a small faction of people who are resistant to being vaccinated.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, it's in comparison to 4 million people that are here, or the
Yeah.
what is it, 2.9 million adults, something like that. There's maybe 100,000 out of that are resistant, and I read that on, where did I get the statistic from?
If even that, but yeah, probably
But
on
it's a
Mensa site or
yeah, it's
somewhere.
a very
yeah.
very small percentage. So
Yep.
by and large, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So when you're on social media, it might
It
appear,
seems like a lot of people.
It might appear that most people are against the vaccine, but
Right.
the reality is that
It's minuscule.
It's a
minuscule. I can say that.
It's a very minuscule. So most
Tough, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. That's
Yeah,
good. So I think you're right. I don't think the restaurants are going to have.
No,
too much.
They just say that's going to mess up the restaurants, and it's not, because
No.
I would say that most people want to go to a nice, safe spot
Right.
to go eat, take off their mask, and go eat.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to sit in a crowded restaurant, thinking, well, all these breakthrough infections that are going on, which isn't a huge amount because we don't have a lot of Delta virus here.
Right.
Because we have such a high vaccination rate, because we use measures to control the spread of COVID.
Yes.
That has really, really helped.
Well,
And-
the main thing, I think one of the main things is the mask mandate. Obviously, nobody wants to have to wear the mask all the time.
Oh, I
but
hate that thing.
the-
I'm so
the,
sick of it.
The countries that, well, you're a doctor, so you really kind of have to go through the rest of your life wearing a mask. But
Probably,
anyway,
pretty much. I don't plan on
Yeah.
stopping to wear a mask in
at
the clinic. Yeah.
But the countries that have dropped their mask mandates, they're by and large seeing a little bit of a resurgence. But it's not even the resurgence; it's the length of time to where that natural herd immunity takes effect. So we've been consistently below the mortality rate by almost a full percentage point throughout the entire pandemic.
Yeah, and we're at like what, 0.8
It's
of the RT.
has gotten very low.
Yeah.
So
We have very few daily cases.
the mask. I know it's been in the single digits or very very low double digits.
Yeah.
For a long time now, and there's not.
We had a small outbreak here in Boquete, like 12 or 15 people among 9 families in those little rented rooms. So
those
probably
little
indigenous. Probably, we don't know for
Probably, yeah.
sure. But
But the mask mandates that they've had here, all the mandates they've had here, the ones that truck going by, outdoor radio, the ones where you hear a lot of the foreigners, mostly the foreigners, say, my rights, you can't tell me what to do, blah,
not
blah, blah, blah.
all of them are foreigners, but the majority on social media that complain are.
Yeah, but when you look at the effectiveness of these mandates, we're way ahead of most developing nations. We're way ahead of a lot of developed nations.
We have never stopped with the mandates.
Right, and a lot of people don't understand that we're still under a state of emergency.
Yeah, and we are, and the government can still put any mandate they want.
Right, and we're still. I don't think they've legalized parties at home yet. I mean,
No.
when you look at
Big get-togethers and stuff like that, no.
but people are still doing it, and whatever. I'm just saying that.
They always have.
Yeah.
They never stop.
But the mandates that we've had here, the things that we have to do by law, have really protected this country. Because, as you mentioned, the RT rate is very low, and the daily infection rate is very low. And if you look at that graph, it's on the bell curve.
Right.
It's been on a downward trend for about the last 6-7 months.
And also, there was a pretty high percentage of infections. So those people have the natural immunity, and the majority of those with natural immunity got both their shots
Both
too.
their shots already, yeah.
So they're kind of like extra protected, and
Yeah.
that's helped with the spread too.
Yeah.
Because, we have such a high vaccination rate.
Yes.
We have all of our mandates that, everybody seems to be following for the most part very well. And we've never lifted the mandates. We've never, relaxed in this country so far, which is
there
good.
are rumors. I've heard rumors that starting November 1st, December 1st, January 1st, depending on who you talk to, that the masks are going away and everything's going to be lifted. And while that may be possible, it doesn't seem to fit with what Mensa has been doing for the last year and a half.
Right.
They might lift the mask mandate if you're outside.
Right.
You
They might
know,
relax it a little
they
bit.
might relax it a little bit, but I don't see
I don't see on public transportation, public buildings, clinics,
Yeah.
grocery stores,
yeah, where
places where you have a lot of people in a
and
small
that, yeah,
enclosed
that
space.
makes sense. You know, I mean, you're
Yeah.
not gonna, you're probably not gonna be a threat to yourself or someone else if you're out walking your dog, right? You know, out in open air, but still in a closed space.
And if you haven't gotten your vaccine yet, they have the Pfizer up here in town right now.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, the people are getting their booster shots over at the municipio,
Oh, okay. Well,
the
good.
municipal
That's good
building. So,
information.
yeah, I didn't know until yesterday afternoon. I'm always the last to know. No, I'm kidding. But no, I did find out because some of my coworkers got vaccinated there yesterday and the day before. So they are giving the booster up here somewhere over there by the municipal building. I don't know exactly where, the mayor's office, around that area.
So I'm guessing though that you have to show your vaccination card. There's isn't it 6 months or something?
Right,
the
for your booster, you have to have at least 6 months since your last injection. And they will give it to you. I don't even think they're going by age or anything at the moment. I think it's pretty much open to anyone.
So if you've had your vaccine before the middle of May, it's been 6 months.
Pretty much, yep.
So you can go down there and get that.
Yeah, just go down there, get your booster. You know, and if you haven't had your vaccine yet, go down and ask if you can get your first shot. More people vaccinated, the better. We don't have to worry about who's vaccinated, who's not, who's giving what to whom.
Yeah.
If everybody's vaccinated,
Right,
it's
yeah.
going to be a whole lot more
Yeah,
difficult to
sure.
give. Spread the virus between two vaccinated people.
Yeah.
Than
And
it
I
would
hear
be.
they're giving little I've been vaccinated magnets to stick to your arm.
I'm still waiting for mine, actually. I did read though, and it's kind of disturbing. In a private school in Florida, they actually are banning students that got vaccinated from coming back to class for 30 days, so that they don't spread the virus to the other children.
Oh, like shedding?
Shedding.
That whole shedding thing. Well,
whole shedding
first of
thing.
all, you know, Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Why am I not
Right.
surprised?
So,
right?
you know, I mean, that's anything.
It's somewhere in
yeah.
Miami. It's a private school somewhere in Miami.
I'm going to look that up because
I've actually got it right here. Would you like to see it?
Look at you, misprepared.
I know.
You're making me look bad.
I know. Where's Day when you need her, Day? Where
I
are
know, man. She's I need my research assistant.
you? Now,
Let's
where did
see.
I know where I sent it. I sent it to myself.
I said to myself. Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah. No. It's here. You go.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
She's handing me. her phone.
And the teachers.
Did you spray this with alcohol? I'm okay. A Florida school says vaccinated students must stay home for 30 days after each shot, citing a false claim that they'll infect others. And where's the actual article?
Down below. Keep going.
Keep going. Scroll. Okay, it says here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
A private school in Miami is requiring students who get vaccinated to quarantine at home for 30 days after each dose. And then it says, quote, because of the potential impact on other students and our school community, vaccinated students will need to stay at home for 30 days post-vaccination for each dose and booster they receive and may return to school after 30 days as long as the student is healthy and symptom-free.
Isn't that just crazy?
It gets better or
It
worse.
gets better.
Depending. It gets more Florida-y.
Florida.
Florida-y. Yeah, that's a word I just made up there.
I like
It says
that
the
word.
letter also urged parents to hold off on getting their children vaccinated until the summer, when there will be time for the potential transmission or shedding onto others to decrease. Yeah, the truth is, it says here, the truth is that this school policy is based on a dangerous myth that has been extensively debunked. And Dr. Aileen Marty, an infectious disease expert at Florida International University, told WSVN, that's the venue here, what kind of nonsense is this? They made that
Exactly.
up. That's science fiction. Not even science fiction, because it's pure fiction. That's what she said. And it says
That was kind of the point of science fiction.
yeah, none of the authorized COVID-19 vaccines contain the virus that causes COVID-19. Then it goes on to say Pfizer's mRNA vaccine instructs a person's body how to make a harmless protein.
Exactly.
And learning how to make a make that protein is like a viral boot camp for the body's immune
I
system.
mean, this is scary. This is an educational institution, a private one at that,
Yeah.
that's teaching kids to be afraid of getting vaccinated or being around
Yeah.
vaccinated
Well, it also
kids.
says here the vaccine cannot be inhaled via shedding and can only enter the human body through the administered dose. And even if vaccinated people do catch the virus, it's precisely because they have been vaccinated, and their chances of winding up seriously ill or dead are reduced many, many times over. And this goes not only for Pfizer, but from Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, which are all highly effective at preventing severe COVID-19. So yeah,
Yep.
It's really, you know, I mean, it's unfortunate, I guess, you know, that's the only word I can come up with a lot of these forms of misinformation, you know, about this vaccine. And
But look at the governor of Florida.
I'd rather not, thank you. But, you know, if you insist.
I mean, pretty much repealing all mandates, saying, you know, if you do any mask mandates or anything like that, then you'll get fined, you'll get fired.
Or the school will not receive, they'll lose their funding, their state funding.
Right. Teachers will lose their jobs. The school will lose their funding. I mean, it's kind of draconian there.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. You know, I do understand, you know, people's desire to
have rights and make choices.
Yeah, and also to be informed. But you know, it's the quality of the information. You know, and when you look at what a lot of people are considering research, it's not really research in the format that would be conducive to getting the proper information.
I can look up anything and make it fit to my viewpoint.
Right. Yeah, you know, and that's one of the ways that the internet is causing the spread of all this. You know, it's again, you know, I think it's great that people want to be informed,
Definitely.
but
And you should be.
Consider the source, you know, of the information.
Yeah, you should educate yourself on anything, medications, vaccines, the virus,
Yeah.
anything in society right now. You should investigate, but you should also trust your experts.
Yeah, like the scientific community for one, the infectious disease research community, there are these sources of information which are very well adept at providing information in a way that can be consumed by lay people. You don't have to be a physician or you know, an engineer or a researcher.
Definitely look up your source.
Yeah, you know, but there's a lot of mistrust in the media. There's a lot of mistrust of, you know, the mainstream media.
But even these doctors that come out online, on YouTube, on Facebook, on whatever, and just start spouting off, you got to look at their background and look at, you know, who they are, where they're from.
You also have to look at, you know, YouTube is a great source of entertainment, you know, but I could put on a lab coat, throw a stethoscope over my neck, and produce a video stating that I'm a doctor. I don't have to state what kind of doctor
You are
I
a
am.
doctor.
Yeah, I'm not a medical doctor, but that doesn't matter. I could put on the lower third there, you know, Dr. Alfredo Stefanelli, you know, Instituto, blah blah. I can just make something up, or I could use a real one, and I could give a really convincing soliloquy, as it were, on, you know, how the vaccine has been proven to you know, show the growth of tails in you know, a certain segment of humanity, and it is slowly changing the shape of our forehead and turning us into apes. And I could be damn convincing with this, and the video professionally produced, and it'll go viral.
Yep.
And it'll start showing up, and it's not that hard to do.
It would be really easy.
Yeah,
It'd be really easy.
Yeah, because there's absolutely nobody fact checking me, or there's nobody saying, hey, we need to, before we release this video to the public, we have to make sure that there's no
Right.
accountability on that at all.
No, and you don't have to have accountability. It's just as YouTube. They don't, you know, investigate, or eventually they'll take it off if they get enough complaints, but not by themselves.
They're not, but you know, I'll get you see videos from places like, you know, BoqueteNOW, Which
There's
is-
some horrible sites out there.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's disturbing in a way that, really the only thing that I want as a member of humanity is for humanity to be safe. As safe as they can be in any given situation, and I know that, if you're say you're stuck living in a war-torn country, you don't really have a way to to get out, that's one thing. If you were in a situation where you have to be excuse me, you have to be in that situation. But with the vaccination and with the pandemic and all that information, valid information is available. And you don't have to be stuck in a situation where your life is made less than what it could be because of, misinformation.
Yeah. There is, and there's a lot of so-called doctors putting a lot of misinformation out there about certain aspects of the virus or certain aspects of the vaccine. What we found is out of I think it's billions of doses applied by now.
I know, yeah.
Very few have died from getting the vaccine, and we can't even particularly link the vaccine to the death.
No. But if you ask people, some people are under the impression that everyone who's getting the vaccine is dying from it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the 50, 60, 70% of people who get the vaccine.
And they're looking at the VAERS research site, which is where you report side effects from vaccines or medications. Anybody can report. You, a doctor, anybody can report
like
any
Wikipedia.
symptom, and it's not researched. It's not researched.
It's just a depository for information. It's
Right.
raw data. It hasn't been compiled, collated, researched, validated, or any of that.
Right.
It's
There's
just-
no validation.
yeah.
It says right on the site, this information has not been validated.
Yeah.
We don't know. We haven't gone and investigated. Eventually they do. Go through them all. They look for patterns. The patterns they go and investigate.
Yeah.
But this is all, like you said, it's all raw
It's raw
data.
data.
Anybody can put it. Anybody can put anything. I sneezed after I got the vaccine. I put it on there.
Yeah. Or
Causes sneezing. You know.
you can, I mean, if you wanted to, you can organize on social media back channels, these, I guess for the lack of a better word, movements. And it's like, we're trying to get, 10,000 or 100,000 people to go onto this VAERS site and say that they grew an extra finger.
Yeah. Which could
Right.
actually be handy sometimes.
It could. Well, it could be. Hey, I see what you did there.
I didn't even try. By the way, I want to say hi to my dad. He's watching us on YouTube.
Oh.
Ah.
Hola, doctor.
Maybe we'll have him on next weekend.
Ooh, whoop, I keep hitting this microphone. Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is your mom listening?
Yeah, she's
Of
definitely
course.
listening.
Yes. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. She's the one that told me my dad's listening.
Oh,
Or
okay.
watching, I should say.
You
He's
got this whole
watching.
little communication thing going.
I know. Too bad everybody could see me doing it, too. It's like...
I remember back in the old days of doing. Well, I think they still do it actually, because I've done some TV work, not mostly radio. But we used to have our scripts or our notes in front of us,
and flipping through them.
flipping through them. And by the way, if you see this done on TV and you see the paper is blue, it's because blue doesn't refract the light. If you have
There
white
you
paper
go.
on a camera, it'll whitewash. And
That's interesting.
The very last TV program that I did, maybe 15 years ago, in the desk, we were sitting behind his desk. It was like a dais or a panel. And in the middle of the table was glass. And through the glass, they were teleprompters.
Uh-huh. Oh,
That-
I remember seeing those.
That
Yeah.
was really, really cool. But now we have phones.
And all of the news people on TV have phones or
Yeah.
tablets or something like that they start scrolling through. I remember when the only way you could send messages on a phone was to go through all the numbers to hit the right letter that you want.
Oh, T9 texting. Ooh. I actually got pretty good at that.
You get fast, right?
I got pretty good at that, and then they changed it, and I was like, okay, and I never really 100% caught up. My grandchildren, I mean, they text so fast. I'll spend like 2-3 minutes putting together a text, and then 20 seconds later, here comes a block of them. How did you even how do you even do that?
That's
But,
all
you
they
know,
do.
That's
All they
yeah,
do is just.
yeah.
And they're probably talking. The funny thing is, they're probably talking about 5 people at once. Too.
Probably, yeah. I think our generation is the last one, or at least mine anyway, to be born before there was internet.
I think mine too, because I don't think that was until the 80s, right?
Well, it got widespread 94, 95. That's when AOL came out,
Right.
and IBM came out with the 286 was around for a while. It was useless. The 386 was better, but when they came out with the 486,
Gonna take that away from you.
I know. When they came out with the 486, which is significantly more processing power, and the home PC came down below $1,000, and CompuServe and AOL came out. That's when email went from bulletin boards to email and all that. That was in the mid 90s, and those of us who were born in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, whatever, were born before all this happened. We were still using rotary dial telephones. Now, my grandkids are 9 and 11, 9, 10 and 11.
But show them a rotary phone and see if they can use it.
No, they won't know what it is. What is that? Hey, just hold it up. I've seen these videos.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but
I could never use those because I'd forget what I was dialing in the middle of dialing.
I've done that. I've done that. Especially if you have to dial like a number with an area code. It's like where did I mess this up? Then they came out with push buttons.
Lot
But
better.
be that as it may, my 9, 10, and 11-year-old grandkids, it's just amazing at the speed at which they can multitask. And a lot of people are like, oh, this newfangled technology is making jelly brains of the young people.
Oh.
I tend to disagree with that.
It's probably forming more synapses.
Their
with them.
abilities to multitask with technology is going to help them.
I can't
in their
even
future.
text with 2 people without screwing up who I'm sending
Oh, I
a
know.
message to.
Especially if you're having 2 like very personal conversations.
Yeah, it's like, oops.
You send
Ignore
something to somebody, and they just screenshotted the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's gone all around Boquete, whatever. Exactly.
But anyway,
Speaking of 9, 10, and 11-year-olds,
Yes.
Pretty soon it sounds like they're about to approve the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds.
yes, and Pfizer, I read on the internets, is
there one more than one?
Is what there? Well, actually, there is.
Don't tell me this.
But yeah, Pfizer has been shown to be very effective in the 5 to 11-year-old.
Very few side effects.
Very few, yes.
Something like 90-point-something% effective.
Yeah. So, and that just contributes to the rate of achieving that herd immunity.
It's going to be good too because right now hospitals are full of kids with COVID.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They make up one of the major groups of hospitalizations
Yeah.
with COVID. The vaccinated make up a very small percentage
Yeah.
of hospitalized patients, even smaller amount of COVID deaths. Maybe about 1% of all COVID deaths are vaccinated.
Yeah. And those people have some serious comorbidities.
They could.
They could.
They definitely could.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's normally what happens when you get these breakthroughs. But also in the States, you have to remember Delta.
Yes.
Delta is a big factor. Delta is protected by the vaccine, but it's not perfect. That's why they're having probably a lot of breakthrough infections is
Yeah.
because of the Delta.
And it's probably why they're doing the booster shots too.
And that's why they're doing the booster shots too. So anybody that's looking to get their booster shot, it's easy. It's right here in town.
Yeah. At the municipal.
At the municipal buildings.
Or close to it.
Somewhere around there. If you go to Minsa, they'll tell you exactly where to go.
Yeah.
But I went down, like I said, to Terronal. There was no waiting. There was about 5 people sitting there, and it seems
Yeah.
like they get 5 people. They get them in waves.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'd gone into the grocery store at El Rey. They were set up in front of El Rey. And I went into the grocery store, and there was maybe 1 or 2 people sitting there. Had gotten their vaccines and were waiting for their wait time to be up.
Yeah.
When I came out, there was a long line. I was like, I should have just gotten in line to begin with.
Yeah.
Got in the line, but it's a good thing, and people are taking it seriously.
Yeah. Well, I'll be eligible mid-February
And
for my.
they'll have plenty.
And I'm not, and you can. I think we talked about this yesterday. if you got a vaccine outside of Panama with a serum that isn't available here, you can
mix and match according to the CDC now.
Yeah, so if you were in the States and you got Moderna, you got Johnson & Johnson.
You can get a Pfizer or whatever.
And in reverse goes, you know, if I got AstraZeneca because when I got my when I got my vaccine, they're only giving it to people over 60.
Right.
And I'm under 60.
Right.
And don't hate me. And
Just a
so now
youngin'.
if I end up in the States in February, I can get Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and so it works both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, or you can get your Pfizer here, whatever comes first.
Yeah.
So, and you'll be considered boosted.
Boosted.
Is that a word?
Boosted.
Boosted.
So the question is that if you don't have your booster, are you still considered fully vaccinated?
Yes, you're still considered fully vaccinated for now.
For now.
For now.
Yeah. For now.
For now. Eventually, they'll require everybody to get a booster, but they're doing a slow rollout, kind of like the vaccines, trying to space it out. But from what I read online, sometime last week we hit like 5.75 million doses given of the vaccine.
Yeah.
Which is enough for more than half the population, and we're still talking. We haven't done the 5 to 11-year-olds yet.
Right. So adults over 18 in Panama are somewhere 2.7. God, I can't remember. Don't quote me on that, but it's about 60% of the population.
Over 12. It's like 12% are under 12.
Yeah. So you've got almost 6 million dosed. There's a significant portion of the population that has been fully vaccinated.
Over 70%, it sounds like.
Yeah. So once you reach 70, 80%, isn't that's considered herd
over
immunity?
70% of over 12. So we're still waiting for the 5 to 11 group. Then we'll be able to say, okay, we're
safe,
really close to herd immunity. Yeah.
Safer. Yeah.
And then we should have probably small breakouts like usually occurs. But once the majority is vaccinated, it'll be a lot more manageable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we want that.
Yeah. And it's coming because, they're going to make life tough for those that aren't vaccinated. I don't know if they'll do it for grocery stores and pharmacies. In other countries, grocery stores and pharmacies won't require it. But everywhere else, restaurants, sporting events.
Well, even in places like Mexico, they eliminated a lot of their safety mandates, but you still have to wear a mask if you are on public transportation. You have to wear a mask if you are in a government building. You have to wear a mask if you're in a transportation hub, like an airport or a bus station, inside the building.
Right.
And once you get outside the building, everyone's standing around, but you are outdoors for what it's worth. But even in countries that have pretty much eliminated all of their mask mandates, they still keep the ones where people are herded together, like transportation.
Right.
Inside restaurants, you still have to wear a mask, and then when you sit down, like here, and you get your food or drink,
you take it off. And I'm
take
pretty
it
sure
off.
that's what it's going to be like here.
Yeah.
Outdoors, no mask.
Yeah.
Indoors, mask.
Yeah.
Public transportation, mask.
Yeah.
Until this thing really slows down. I mean, here in this country, it's slowed down, but we can't let our guard down.
Well, no. You also have a lot of people that are still, Panama is a destination country.
Yeah.
And Tocumen is one of the busiest airports in Central and South America, and you've got a lot of people traveling through here. And Panama Tourism Board there has instituted this new program. It's called a Stay in Panama, something like that. When you have a layover, they encourage you to stay for a couple of weeks or a week or
Get
so,
your vaccine.
and just to visit.
Oh,
They're
just to visit,
just to visit.
They give some kind of incentive, right?
Yeah, discounts at hotels and tour packages and whatnot. So there's still a lot of people coming in here from high-risk countries.
Yep.
And this is why that mandate was put out, that even if you have a negative test, if you are from one of these high-risk countries,
unvaccinated,
you still have to spend 3 days in quarantine. If you're a resident, you can quarantine at home. If you're a tourist, you have to go to a hotel at your expense. So there's still...
and designated hotel, and not cheap ones.
No. So there's still trying to stem, the flow of this as much as they can while
Promoting
tourism
Yeah.
and opening the country up, and when you look at it from the point of view of a resident, and then you take into account how many people from hundreds of different countries, come through Tokumen, and the percentage of them that are staying for a week or two circulating.
Even the ones that are crossing over from Costa Rica.
Yeah, I can't say that this is something that is that I'm against. I know it's a pain in the ass, and if you have to do that, but
It's a pain just having to do the QR code, the affidavit.
Yeah. But we are, I guess, reaping the benefits. It's probably not the right terminology, but we are reaping the benefits of the mandates here, the programs that MINSA and the tourism board and the government in general has put in place to protect us.
Yeah, complain all you want, but it's done the
But
job.
It's working, yeah, and I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they kept at it. They didn't crumble to the pressure of the public to lift mandates for the masks.
Right.
Didn't lift the other mandates, some more strict mandates of crossing between provinces and that kind of thing for over a good year,
Yeah.
I'd say. So they really took it seriously, and it was inconvenient, definitely. It was really hard not being able to travel, not being able to do normal stuff that you usually do.
Yeah.
But it seems that it helped.
Yeah, and if you can get past the conspiracy theories, and a lot of the people that adhere to these conspiracy theories, these aren't bad people. They're not stupid people. They're
No.
not. There's no disparagement there, but
No.
you have the information that's presented to you, and if you are not either given access to the correct information, or if you are, told under no uncertain terms that if you go anywhere else, the information you're going to get is wrong.
Yeah.
Then what you're getting, the limited amount of information that you're getting, is what you tend to believe.
I mean, everybody can do their own research. Anybody can look things up. Anybody can confirm or deny things. It's really not for anybody else to get on social media and to say, don't get vaccinated because of this. Don't get vaccinated. Let everybody make their own decision.
Yeah, and that's been a I guess a point of conversation.
Yeah.
Is when do I get to make my own decision? Well, when in Rome, yesterday, when in Panama,
Yeah.
the government of this country has set aside things that we are required to do under law, regardless of what we read on social media, regardless of how we might think that somehow the First Amendment of the United States is valid here, or any personal freedoms that you might have in your home country are valid here. We have to abide by these mandates. We have to abide by the things that they tell us to do, and
Whether we agree with them or not, whether we like them or
Right.
not.
And just at least try to understand, that their motives are not, to be our foreign overlords, or alien overlords.
I remember there was somebody that was mentioning on a Facebook group, they were trying to get together a big group of people to do a sit-in at the Central Park
Yeah, this is foreigners.
without masks. Yeah.
And that's a
to
good way to get
lift the mask mandate.
It's a good way to get deported.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just you're in your host country. You're not in your passport country. Whether you're paying taxes or not, whether you own a business or not, you're still required to follow the law.
Right. Yeah. And
It's not personal choice here.
No, this is not. People think, oh, you're in a democracy. That's a very misunderstood term. This is not a representative republic. It's a presidential republic. And things work differently here.
Things work a lot differently here.
You can actually go online, and I have the link somewhere, where you can download a professionally translated version of the Constitution here.
And there's a new one, and with each government, usually they write up a new constitution.
Yeah, and you can download that.
Well, some parts of it.
Some parts of it, yeah.
Yeah.
You can download that, and you can see, exactly how this government works. And when you take that and you apply it to the mandates that are put out and the authority that MINSA has.
Yeah, there's people that don't believe that MINSA has the authority to do anything.
Well,
the president gave them the authority during the health crisis.
Yeah.
The health emergency.
And the thing about it is that you have to realize, yes, maybe you own a business here and you pay taxes.
Doesn't give you the right.
It doesn't give you, unless you're a citizen. Now, if you're a citizen here, naturalized, like there's a few people here that foreigners that are. Yes, you have the ability to protest. You have the right to protest. You have the right to write letters.
It might not look
whatever.
good, even as a naturalized citizen.
It might
not
not.
look good.
But that citizenship here for someone who was not born here is still a privilege, and it can still be revoked.
Yeah,
So
it can be revoked from any country.
Yeah. So
And if you are a citizen, the laws definitely apply to you. They apply to the foreigners too, all the same laws.
Yeah.
But much more so if they see an actual citizen. It's like,
Yep.
you will. I mean, the government has been pretty strict with the spread of misinformation and protests against the government. It's not like the states where each state has their own ability to decide
there's
they're going to follow and what they're not
No.
of the federal government's mandates.
That's because this is a presidential republic. The individual provinces here aren't like the states in the United States or the states in Mexico or the provinces in Canada, or what have you. What's good for one is mandated for
Yeah.
all.
And in this case, it's
in
good
large
for the
part.
community. The government makes decisions based on what's good for the community, not what's good for the individual or the individual province.
So your rights that you enjoy in your passport country,
It's different.
it's different. They
It's
don't-
different
they
here.
don't really apply here.
It's Roger. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning. Good morning.
It is a beautiful day out
in the neighborhood.
in the neighborhood.
Yes, it's a
In the
beautiful
hood.
day for a neighbor. Would you be my? Could you be my neighbor?
Did you hear that the president of Panama announced that the fairs?
I did. The fairs are on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For each
Yeah.
province. I'm sure
So-
using the mandates, the mask mandates, and
Yes,
Yeah,
with all the
biosecurity
all the
stuff. Yeah.
measures. Yes, that's
Yeah.
good news for. a lot of
That's an
people.
So I wonder
excellent
if we're
news.
going to have our parades here.
No parades yet.
No parades yet.
No parades.
I understand that the 28th, some independent bands will be marching.
I saw them practicing
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
week at the square. They were
because they're at
sounding
the
great.
inauguration of the new monument.
Right.
Yeah.
But the president said no parades yet.
No parade. The high schools are out, so.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Roger.
Words of wisdom from the owner.
From the owner of the radio
Cherokee.
station
Yeah.
here in Boquete.
Yes, here in Boquete.
Here in Boquete. He started up this radio station.
He did.
He
I
did.
thought his dad did.
Oh,
actually.
was it
Yeah,
his
I think
dad?
it was
Yeah.
dad,
Well, he's
yeah.
carrying on the tradition, right?
Yes, it's very important to carry on traditions.
Yeah. So I did read that this morning, and it's good news that each province has their own fair,
Right. Sure.
basically. So fairs are on.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's
So
going to help
there's
with the internal tourism and the economy.
Yeah. Well, I know I know that in Los Santos province they have the international fair every year.
Mm-hmm.
I went to that a few years ago. That was fantastic.
We have our flower fair.
So there's the
festival
flower
thing.
fair.
Yeah.
And,
David has their fairgrounds where they do their fair. Yeah.
yeah, and most of us now know where the fairgrounds are.
By
Down there.
way of
Over there.
vaccines. Yeah. It's not too hard to get to. It's huge.
No, it's not too
That
hard to get
fairgrounds-
to. Getting the first time we went to get our first vaccine, it was tough finding the actual entrance.
Yeah.
That they had put there, but
Yeah, but you'll just have to look for the police cars and that kind of thing, and they'll kind of
or ask somebody.
or ask somebody.
We found out that posted at the I guess what could be considered the corners of the fairgrounds and on some of the side streets there's police officers directing traffic.
Right.
And if you just ask them, how do I get to the vaccine site, which is what we did.
Yeah.
Even in my horrible Spanish, we were directed,
Pointing and yeah.
izquierda, those two, whatever, and we followed his directions and
Right in,
there
yeah.
we were, right in, yeah.
And I forgot to mention, they're finding in a lot of cases, they don't know a whole lot about mixing vaccines right now, but they say that if you have an mRNA mixed with something like the AstraZeneca, I don't remember if that's a DNA vaccine. I think they use some kind of a little viral vector to.
Yeah.
But whatever, I don't remember exactly, and I'm not going to lie on the radio. But if you get a booster of the mRNA, you're
vice
supposed
versa.
to, or vice versa, could offer
Additional
protection.
protection,
Yeah,
yeah,
we don't know
sure.
exactly yet. They're just studying it, but
Well,
they
it's
just.
kind of like, the cookie part of the Oreo is delicious and the cream part of the Oreo is delicious. But if you mix them,
And you dunk it.
you get perfection. You just get absolute perfection. And
Interesting
love
you'd use Oreo. No, I want Oreos.
I know. I have Oreos. I should have brought you some.
Now he says.
Well, you know where I live.
You got Oreos, you got well, you don't have Twinkies, but
I
you're
will.
gonna have Twinkies.
I will have Twinkies because I know that my friend is. Oh, she might be listening, but we got 6 minutes, and in 6 minutes.
Wow,
and,
time
In
flies.
6 minutes and 30 seconds, I'll be.
You'll be eating Twinkies,
I'll be
won't
eating
you?
Twinkies. I love Twinkies.
When are you coming to see me to do an A1C?
So how about this weather we're having?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Uh-huh.
We all have to talk with our doctor.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Shouldn't have
all
done
right.
that on the air.
That's all right. Everyone knows I'm diabetic.
Yeah. Well, you said it a few times. I just didn't
yeah.
mean to.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I see what
you're
you're
like,
doing.
I'll
I
get
see
you
what
back
you're
next
doing.
time.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right.
Any last, since we got a few minutes, any last thoughts?
Well, in the whole point of this program, these last 2 days have been to really try to promote the vaccine and trying to promote the efficacy of the booster shots,
Yeah.
to answer some questions about mixing and
Doubts,
matching,
yeah.
and all that, and to go over some statistics and what have you. I think we've covered all of that.
Yeah.
I just would have to say, please get vaccinated. Like Dra Shannon said, it's going to get increasingly difficult to integrate into the community without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And regardless of what you might believe about the vaccine and whatever.
And if you don't know whether you should get it or not, talk to your doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best advice I have. If you have a true doubt and you want to say, hey, is this okay for me to get the vaccine? I have this, or this.
Right.
Or this is my concern. Is it okay? I've had many patients come in that way.
Yeah.
And ask me that. Go see your doctor and ask if you have any doubts.
Yeah.
The way I see it, the people that are really against getting it, no matter what you say, they're not going to get
They're
it.
not going to get it. No, and that's their choice. And
That's their choice.
Just so they know, though, that integrating into the community here, as more and more businesses and restaurants require, proof of the vaccination.
If that's what it takes to open up 100%, that's what they're going to do.
I mean, think of it. You can't get into, still to this day, you can't get into a public school in the United States without a vaccine card, without getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
So this is really no different. We all should be used to this. We
Right.
had to get our vaccines.
Every new vaccine, there's always
Yeah,
some resistance.
yeah. And both of us know from the point of being former military that you're a
You don't,
pincushion.
yeah, you don't get a choice. You line up.
Yeah, and you get your
whole,
shots.
yeah. I mean, the air guns and then the
yeah.
regular shots and the polio
Yeah,
drops.
good
and then,
times.
Good times, yeah.
You
don't get to stop for a little fever either.
No.
Yeah, what fever?
But
Get back in line, Marine.
Yeah, just to know that that's going to be, and then you'll have a choice to make. Either you stay here or you return to
Yeah.
your home country, or you
Which
move
also
on
might
to
be
a
doing the
different
same
one.
kind of restrictions because a lot of other countries are requiring
Yeah,
proof of vaccination to even get into the country.
right. That's right.
Much less to get into a restaurant, to go to a sporting event.
Yeah.
They're everywhere in the world, they're putting these type of restrictions. U.S. is a little bit slower about doing it, but individual states are deciding for themselves how to handle that.
And the comparisons, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
There's more people get killed by drunk driving. Should we take people's licenses away? Or more people get killed by the flu? Should we stop giving? Whatever. And I know that's an easy
That's
thing
an
to
easy
do.
justification.
But when you look at the details that are involved in how this disease is spread, and how it's communicated and how it affects people.
And how it continues to affect people long after they recover from the illness.
You know, when you get the flu, and a lot of us have gotten the flu, yeah, you feel like total crap for a week or two, you know, and it can be dangerous. 2 minutes, it can be dangerous.
Or is that cut?
If you, that's two. You see, right?
Yeah.
Two, cut.
Okay.
Two,
Uh-huh,
cut. You're late. But yeah, you know,
You're late.
it's just, or you know, yeah, it's just.
They're watching on YouTube.
I know. Sorry. But yeah, it's just that understanding that this is not. You don't compare this with. You know, it's like. Yeah, you know what? I broke my leg and I'm going to be laid up for a couple of weeks. Well, that's not bad. You know, my kid died.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay.
You can't compare the two.
Yeah.
It's two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, don't make comparisons. Don't compare it to seatbelts. Don't compare it to this. Don't compare it to that. This is a unique situation, and the only way that people can protect themselves is to take precautions, and hopefully anyone that can get vaccinated.
Yes.
The
get
vaccines
vaccinated.
have been proven to be safe time and time again. Some people have problems. That's a minority, and that can happen with anything.
Absolutely.
So that's our message for today.
That is our message.
I'd
Get
like to thank
vaccinated.
Al. I'd like to thank Veronica down in
Oh,
David, because I didn't say
Veronica,
anything to
yeah.
Veronica. I'd like to thank Bolivar, our engineer.
Of course.
And of course, Roger for giving us some airtime today.
Yes, thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger. And everybody have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you here next weekend.